The Gardener's Scarecrow. Chapter 1. The Gardener's Plan. In a small town nestled amidst rolling hills, there lived a group of gardeners who took great pride in their craft. They spent their days tending to their plants, nurturing them with love and care. They had a vast array of vegetables and fruits in their garden, but they were always looking for new challenges. One day, while chatting over tea, one of the gardeners suggested they grow turnips. Everyone was thrilled with the idea, and they immediately set out to plan their new project. They researched the best soil conditions for turnips, studied the ideal time to plant the seeds, and discussed the most effective methods for watering and fertilizing the crops. After much preparation and anticipation, the day finally arrived to sow the turnip seeds. The gardeners gathered together, ready to work. They tilled the soil, removed any rocks and weeds, and carefully spaced the seeds apart. They covered the seeds with soil and watered them thoroughly, then waited patiently for the turnips to grow. Over the next few days, the gardeners checked on their turnip patch frequently, eagerly looking for signs of growth. They watched as tiny sprouts began to emerge from the soil, and they felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. They knew that with hard work and dedication, their turnip patch would soon yield a bountiful harvest. Chapter 2. The Bird Invasion. Days turned into weeks, and the gardeners continued to tend to their turnip patch with care. However, one morning they woke up to a troubling sight. A flock of birds had descended upon their garden and were feasting on their crops. The gardeners were shocked and dismayed to see their hard work being destroyed. The gardeners immediately sprang into action, chasing the birds away from the garden. But the birds were persistent, and they kept coming back. The gardeners realized that they needed to take drastic measures to protect their crops. The gardeners decided to cover their turnip patch with a protective net, hoping that it would keep the birds away. However, the netting was not very effective, and the birds managed to find their way through the gaps. The gardeners were at their wits' end, not knowing what else to do. It was then that one of the gardeners had an idea. They suggested making a scarecrow to scare away the birds. The other gardeners were hesitant at first, not sure if it would work. However, they decided it was worth a try, and they set out to make a scarecrow for their garden. Chapter 3. The Scarecrow. The gardeners worked together to make the perfect scarecrow for their turnip patch. They gathered old clothes, straw, and sticks, and began to construct their creation. They fashioned the scarecrow's body out of old clothes, stuffing them with straw to give it shape. They added a head made of a sack and drew a fierce face on it, hoping to frighten the birds away. Once the scarecrow was complete, they placed it in the middle of the turnip patch, hoping that it would be enough to keep the birds at bay. They stood back and admired their handiwork, feeling a sense of pride in their creation. As the sun began to set, the gardeners retired to their homes, hoping that their scarecrow would be enough to protect their crops. The night passed without incident, and the gardeners woke up the next morning feeling hopeful. They rushed to their turnip patch, eager to see if the scarecrow had worked. To their relief, they found that the scarecrow had done its job. The birds had stayed away from their garden, and their turnips were safe. The gardeners rejoiced, feeling a sense of relief that their hard work had paid off. They knew that their scarecrow was not perfect, but it had done its job, and they felt grateful for its protection. Chapter 4. Victory in the Garden. The day of the harvest arrived, and the gardeners eagerly set out to collect their turnips. They were amazed by the bounty of their harvest, grateful for the hard work they had put in over the months. They knew that their victory in the garden was thanks in large part to their scarecrow, Rusty. As they gathered their turnips, the gardeners couldn't help but reflect on the challenges they had faced. They realized that their success was not just about protecting their crops from the birds, but about persevering through challenges and working together towards a common goal. The gardeners celebrated their victory by throwing a feast with their friends and family, sharing their harvest and telling stories about their journey. They raised a toast to Rusty, their trusty scarecrow, who had become a symbol of their hard work and determination. As the night fell and the stars twinkled in the sky, the gardeners knew that their victory in the garden was just the beginning. They looked forward to new challenges and new harvests, knowing that they had the strength and resilience to face whatever came their way. And as Rusty stood tall and proud in the turnip patch, the gardeners knew that he would always be there to protect and guide them, a true friend of the garden. The end.